The illusion of reality. You've been lied to your entire life. They taught you that reality is solid, structured, built on facts, that you can measure things, prove them, trust them. But what if I told you that's the biggest trick ever played on you? Because reality isn't built on what's there, it's built on what's missing. And once you understand that, everything you believe collapses. Let me show you. A blank page is empty until you start drawing. At first, every stroke adds meaning, but push too far, and suddenly it's all noise. The image disappears. Now ask yourself, what if your perception of reality works the same way? You think you see life clearly, success, failure, meaning. But what if none of it exists the way you think it does? The truth is, nothing and everything aren't opposites. They are the same, and that's why they never wanted you to figure this out. Stay with me, because once you see this, there's no going back. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for more insights into the deep secrets of the chosen ones. They've trained you to think reality is made of things, objects, facts, truths. But here's what they never told you. Everything only exists because of what isn't there. A word only means something because of what it excludes. A pattern only exists when something is missing. So what happens when you remove every contrast, every separation? Does reality still exist, or does it disappear? Here's the uncomfortable truth. The difference between nothing and everything is an illusion. The second you grasp that, everything starts to fall apart. Take a blank page, pure emptiness. No lines, no marks, just open space. Now draw a single line. Suddenly it's no longer nothing. That one stroke defines the page, carves meaning out of the void. Keep adding more, shapes, patterns, details, and it begins to take form. But push too far, and the image disappears. Overload the page with too much detail, and it turns into chaos. Nothing has turned into everything, and everything has collapsed back into nothing. Now here's where it breaks your reality. This isn't just about a page. This is how reality works. The more you add, thoughts, distractions, beliefs, the more you lose clarity. The world bombards you with noise to keep you from realizing a truth that would change everything. Real power comes from what you remove, not what you add. Some of the greatest minds in history, Tesla, Einstein, Da Vinci, knew the truth. They didn't just seek knowledge, they mastered the art of empty space. Because clarity doesn't come from knowing more. It comes from removing distractions. Want proof? Think about your own life. When was the last time you sat in total silence? No phone, no notifications, no mental clutter. Here's an exercise called the 3-minute void practice. Close your eyes. Imagine erasing everything. Your thoughts, your identity, even your sense of self. Just exist in nothingness for 3 minutes. That's where everything begins. That's the space where real breakthroughs happen. You've been trained to fear stillness. Silence makes you uncomfortable. Being alone with your thoughts feels unnatural. Ever wonder why? Because if you ever truly embrace nothing, you'd discover the one truth that would make the entire system collapse. Nothing is the most powerful state you can be in. Look at nature. A tree grows in empty space. Where do ideas form in silence, even in quantum? Physics, what we once thought was empty space, is actually filled with limitless energy. Everything comes from nothing. This is why monks meditate for hours, why geniuses spend time in deep thought. Why? Your most powerful ideas don't come when you're trying, but when you let go, exercise the void manifestation. Technique: find a quiet space with no distractions. Close your eyes and visualize absolute nothingness. A black. Void, no thoughts, no identity, just stillness. Hold that state for 2 to 3 minutes. Now introduce a single desire and watch it emerge effortlessly from the void. Try this for 7 days and see what happens. But here's the hard truth. Your brain is under constant attack. Every second you're bombarded with social media, news ads, endless noise. You're drowning in information but starving for wisdom. And that's not an accident. Society keeps you distracted because a mind that never experiences stillness never realizes its true power. Look at the elite: Steve Jobs, Einstein, top CEOs. They all wore the same outfit every day. Why? Because removing unnecessary choices frees the mind for what really What they never told you about nothingness. Matter's challenge for the next 24 hours, eliminate one major source of mental. Clutter, no social media, no news, no random YouTube scrolling, just silence. Observe what happens. What you'll notice is that your intuition sharpens, your creativity explodes, and you start seeing what was always hidden in plain sight, everything. You want money purpose. Clarity success is already there, it's just buried under. Too much noise want real power, stop adding, start removing. The more you add, the less clarity you have. Power comes from stillness. Nothing is an emptiness. It's infinite potential. Everything is born from the void your brain is. Overloaded on purpose, the system keeps you distracted, so you never see your true power. The hidden code of reality. You've been playing a rigged game. Reality isn't what you think it is. From the moment you were born, you were trained to see the world in a way that was designed for you, not by you the way you define true success. And identity isn't reality itself. It's a mental framework that was installed in your mind. And here's the part no one tells you. What if the world you experience isn't just perceived, but constructed? Patterns don't exist on their own. They are imposed. You aren't just receiving reality, you're creating it. This is why two people can witness the same event and walk away with completely different versions of the truth. Your mind doesn't perceive what's real. It perceives what it expects to be real. Now, here's where it gets powerful. If you could break that expectation, you wouldn't just change how you see reality. You could bend reality itself, how the dots control your perception. Imagine staring at an infinite field of dots. If the dots are spread out, your brain connects them. You see patterns, shapes, meaning. But if those same dots are crammed together too tightly, everything collapses into chaos. Now think about your life. When you focus on a few details, you create a clear story. When you're overloaded with too much information, everything turns to noise. This is why people who binge news, opinions, and social media feel more confused, anxious, and powerless than ever. Their mental framework is breaking down. But they haven't learned how to impose a new one. A controlled mind is only one pattern. A free mind sees patterns as illusions. The question is, which one are you? Let's test it. Take any belief you hold about yourself, something you think is undeniably true. Now ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Did I experience it firsthand, or was it repeated into my mind? If I grew up in a completely different culture, would I still believe it? If your answer is no, then that belief is not truth. It's just a pattern you were trained to accept. And here's the thing. If a belief is just a pattern, then it can be rewritten or patterns discovered or created. The reality bending question. Look up at the night sky. A child sees random points of light. An astrologer sees cosmic messages. A physicist sees mathematical precision. A poet sees divine order. Same stars, same reality, completely different interpretations. Now here's the uncomfortable question. Are those patterns being discovered, or are they being created? This doesn't just apply to the stars. It applies to everything. Your emotions, your identity, the meaning you give to your experiences. Reality isn't something you passively observe. It's something you actively construct based on the patterns your mind is trained to see. And once you understand that, you can start bending the rules, because if patterns are flexible, then reality is malleable. The secret they never wanted you to know. Those who control the patterns control perception, and those who control perception control reality. This is why society teaches you to see the world in a fixed way, why you are given labor psi categories, rigid definitions of success and failure, why you were never encouraged to question the structure of your thoughts. They don't need to control you directly. They just need to control how you think. Once your framework is set, you will automatically filter out anything that doesn't fit. This is why people fight to defend false beliefs, because once a pattern is locked in, it becomes reality itself. Here's the way out. Question the how perception shapes reality. Pattern, dismantle the structure. See beyond the illusion. For the next 24 hours, challenge yourself to question everything, every assumption, every label, every belief take for granted. Ask yourself, is this something I know or Something I was trained to believe the next level, rewriting your mental code. You're not just experiencing reality, you're generating it. And if you knew how to rewrite the programming language of your mind, you could reshape your entire world in the next chapter. We go deeper words are not just labels. They are the source code of your mind. If you understood how they function at the deepest level, you could rewrite your internal code, alter your perception, and reshape the structure of reality itself. Now we begin, words are not just symbols. They are the operating system of your reality. Every thought you have is formed. Through language, every belief you hold is constructed with words, your identity, your understanding of the world, the meaning you assign to your experiences, it all comes down to the words you use. But here's what no one ever told you, those words were never yours to begin. From the moment you learned to speak, your mind was programmed with a linguistic framework designed to shape. Your perception words are not just tools of communication, they define the limits of what you can conceptualize. If you lack a word for something, you struggle to perceive it. If your language contains contradictions, your thinking contains contradictions. Language does not simply describe reality, it dictates the reality. You are capable of experiencing words or spells, and you've been under one since birth. Consider the word spelling, the act of forming words, but also the act of casting a spell. This is not a coincidence. Words are structured, sequences of meaning that shape consciousness. This is why legal contracts are called spells of binding, why politicians carefully script their speeches, why religious texts are encoded with linguistic precision. The way words are arranged dictates the thought patterns of those who hear them. Now consider this: if a word described everything it would describe nothing, a word only has meaning because it does not apply to all things. This is why controlling language is the most powerful form of mind control. If the definitions of words are altered, perception itself is altered. The hidden meaning of everyday words. Words do not mean what you think they mean. Many of the words you use daily carry hidden structures that shape your reality without your awareness. Mortgage, from the Latin mort, death, engage, pledge. A mortgage is a death pledge, a contract designed to extract labor for decades. Government, govern to control, plus meant mind to govern the mind. Universe, uni one, plus verse spoken. Phrase, reality as a singular spoken sentence. Understand, to stand under something, to be beneath its authority. Career, from the Latin caris, meaning a wielded vehicle. A career is a track you are placed on, moving in a predetermined direction. These are not accidents. Language is structured to create a mental framework where certain ideas seem natural and others remain unthinkable. By controlling the language of a society, those in power control the way reality is perceived. How words trap you in the matrix. Try thinking a thought that cannot be put into words. You can't. Language determines the range of ideas you can consciously access. This is why, when new ideas emerge, philosophies, political movements, scientific breakthroughs, new words must be created to contain them. But the reverse is also true. If certain words are removed, the concepts they represent become harder to hold in mind. This is how control is exerted at the deepest level. Remove the word and you remove the thought. Manipulate definitions and you manipulate perception. This is why historical texts are rewritten, why certain phrases are banned, why certain ideas are ridiculed until they no longer feel like options. If language is reality's operating system, then whoever writes the dictionary writes the code of human thought. Consider how mass media uses language. Words like crisis, emergency, threat, these are not just descriptions, they are triggers. They generate automatic emotional responses. They bypass critical thinking and enforce narratives. When an event is labeled a crisis, the mind stops analyzing and starts reacting. The language itself dictates the perception of reality. Now take this further. What happens when opposing concepts are merged, when the line between truth and falsehood is blurred through language? Words like misinformation and fact-check cheating are not neutral. They are structures designed to dictate what is considered real. If something can be labeled as misinformation, it is no longer part of accepted reality, regardless of whether it is true. If an idea can be labeled a conspiracy, it can be dismissed without The hidden truth behind the universe. Examination how to deprogram your mind using language, the first step to breaking free, is recognizing that language is not reality, it is merely a tool used to describe it. And like any tool, it can be reshaped and used in different ways. Question every word. Look at the language you use daily. Where did these words come from? What assumptions do they carry? What ideas do? They reinforce, redefine your reality if words shape perception then. Changing your words changes your perception. Instead of saying, I have to do this, say I choose to do this instead. Of calling something a problem, call it a challenge. These are not trivial shifts. They reprogram your subconscious mind, eliminate weakening. Language, stop using phrases that diminish your power. Remove words like, I, can't, I'm just, or it's impossible. Language is the script of your mind. If you constantly reinforce limitations through speech, those limitations become real. Speak with precision, be exact with. Your words, vague language creates vague thinking instead of saying, I feel bad. Define the feeling, anger, frustration, uncertainty. Precision in language leads to precision in thought, but how to use words to alter reality. If words are the interface between the mind and reality, then learning to control them is the key to reshaping your existence. This is not just about communication. It is about command. Those who understand this do not just speak, they incant. They do not just persuade, they reprogram. Every leader, every magician, every master of influence throughout history has understood one thing. He who controls the words controls the world. Now ask yourself, who controls the words you speak? Where did they come from? What unseen forces have shaped the language in your mind? More importantly, what would happen if you reclaimed control? Once you grasp this, you will never see the world the same way again. Reality is not what you think, it's what you assume. Everything around you seems structured, solid, defined. Objects have shape. Events unfold in a sequence. Your thoughts feel like they have meaning, but this perception is an illusion. Reality isn't made of things, it's made of relationships, and those relationships only exist because your mind imposes them. Remove the labels, stop defining reality in terms of forms. What's left? Something that feels both infinite and empty at the same time. This is the underlying fabric of existence, raw, unstructured potential. Before interpretation locks it into shape, if form is what you see, formlessness is. What allows seeing to occur if form is content? Formlessness is context. The mistake thinking reality is made of form alone in truth. Form and formlessness are not opposites. They are the same thing seen from different angles. And once you grasp this, you'll see why reality isn't as fixed as you. We're led to believe how structure is created from nothing in mathematics. Every number falls into one of four categories: positive, negative, non-positive, non-negative. At first, this seems simple, but look closely. Positive and negative are clear opposites, each with a defined structure, but non-positive and non-negative, they exist in a strange space between definitions. Neither something nor nothing, they are the gaps between. Opposites, this same pattern exists everywhere: light and dark, sound and silence, being and non-being. These are not separate forces fighting for dominance, they are reflections of a deeper structure that contains them. Both. What does this mean for you? It means your world is not built from solid things, it is built from the contrast between what you notice and what you ignore. How your mind creates separation and why it's an illusion. The human brain categorizes reality to make sense of it. It breaks the infinite flow of experience into objects, concepts, identities, but these divisions are artificial. Where does your body end and the world begin? At your skin, at the electromagnetic field surrounding you, at the point where sensory perception fades. There is no clear dividing line. The separation you perceive is not real. It is a mental construct. This is not just philosophy, it's physics on a quantum level. The particles that make up your body are not separate from the space around you. They interact, exchange energy, and blur together. The only thing making them distinct is your mind's insistence on categorization, the ultimate secret, the hidden balance of reality. Ancient knowledge already understood this. The Tacitus spoke of yin and yang, Seemingly opposite forces that in truth are one, the Hermeticists spoke of polarity, the power of empty space in manifestation. Opposites that are the same at different degrees, modern physics confirms. This duality is an illusion. You have been taught to see the world in opposites, good versus bad, success versus failure, self versus other. The power of zero. With possibility, the blank canvas enables art. The quiet mind enables insight. The empty cup can be filled. Zero also reveals the limits of our normal thinking. We can't truly imagine nothing. Try to picture absolute emptiness. Your mind will always insert some frame of reference. This points to a deeper truth. Our usual way of seeing reality is incomplete. This links back to what we discussed about the grand illusion. Our minds create models of reality, but those models have gaps. Zero marks the edge of what we can conceptualize. Beyond that edge lies mystery, the source from which existence springs. The concept of zero bridges science and spirituality. In mathematics, zero is both a number and not a number. It's a placeholder that gives meaning to other digits. In meditation, emptiness is both void and fullness. It's the ground of being that gives rise to all forms. Zero teaches us about death too. We fear death as a final zero, an ending. But just as zero in mathematics enables whole new levels of calculation, death may be a gateway to other dimensions of existence. The void between lives could be like the quantum vacuum, seeming empty but full of potential. This has practical implications. By embracing emptiness in small ways, through meditation, fasting, silence, we prepare ourselves for the ultimate encounter with zero. We learn that absence creates space for presence, loss makes room for renewal. Zero points to the cyclic nature of existence. In binary code, sequences of ones and zeros create all digital information. In life, cycles of being and non-being create the rhythm of existence. Birth and death, waking and sleeping, inhaling and exhaling, all mirror this fundamental pattern. The power of zero extends to personal growth. Often we need to let go, to become empty, before we can transform. Like a cup that must be emptied before it can be filled with something new, we sometimes need to release old patterns to allow new possibilities. This emptying isn't about losing yourself. It's about touching the zero point, that pure potential at your core. From there, you can choose who to become. The void enables freedom. Looking at zero this way changes how we see life's challenges. Losing a job, ending a boundaries question every category you assume to be true. Where do concepts like self and other truly begin or end? If you strip away labels, what remains? Master the power of empty space. The strongest structures are not made of solid material, but of carefully balanced voids in design. Negative space defines the beauty of a composition in music. Silence creates rhythm and meaning in thought. The gaps between ideas hold the real power. Once you integrate this, you stop being controlled by the rigid structures imposed on you. You gain the ability to move between definitions, see beyond fixed categories, and shape reality itself. You've been told that intelligence is the highest power, that the more you know, the more control you have. But what if intelligence itself is a limitation? What if true power comes not from knowing, but from unknowing? This is the last key to breaking the system entirely, the hidden cost of intelligence. Why knowing can be a prison, intelligence is not the key to power. It's the lock on your cage. You've been taught that intelligence is power, that the more you know, the more control you have, that if you just gather enough information, analyze enough data, think deeply enough, you'll unlock some hidden mastery over life. But what if the opposite is true? What if knowing too much, thinking too much, analyzing too much is the very thing keeping you trapped throughout history? The greatest minds were not those who knew the most, but those who learned to unknow, to strip away unnecessary knowledge, to move beyond analysis into direct experience. There's a reason why Zen monks spend years meditating on emptiness, why sages speak in paradoxes, why the highest levels of mastery often involve unlearning rather than learning. Because knowledge can be a tool, but it can also be a cage if you become too dependent on information. You lose access to something deeper, intuition, raw perception. The ability to shape reality without being weighed down by logic. Intelligence is a double-edged sword, use it correctly, and it becomes a gateway, but misuse it, and it becomes the very thing that holds you back. Maybe the real magic isn't in seeing through the illusion, but in appreciating how amazing it is that we can experience anything at all in a universe that's mostly empty space. We somehow exist to witness it. Think about it and share our thoughts with others. So next time you look around, remember you're part of the greatest magic show ever created. The stage is set, the performance is running, and you're both the audience and the performer. The question isn't whether it's real. The question is what you'll do with your part in the show. The number zero stands as one of the most significant discoveries in human history. Think about it, before zero, people couldn't express, nothing couldn't do. Complex math couldn't build the modern world. We see today, zero changed everything. But zero is more than just a number. It represents the void, the empty space from which everything emerges in physics. We see zero as the vacuum state, the lowest possible energy level yet. Quantum mechanics tells us this void isn't truly empty. It bubbles with virtual particles popping in and out of existence. This connects directly to ancient wisdom many spiritual traditions speak of, the secret of thought and creation. Creation emerging from nothingness. The Tao Te Ching says, the Tao gave birth to one gave birth to two gave birth to three gave birth to all things. That initial void, that zero state, contains infinite potential. Zero teaches us profound truths about reality, just like how adding or multiplying by zero transforms numbers. The void transforms energy into matter. The Big Bang itself may have emerged from a zero-point field, a quantum vacuum that suddenly expanded into our universe. In our daily lives, we fear emptiness, silence, stillness. We fill every moment with noise and activity, but zero shows us that emptiness isn't negative, it's pregnant. Relationship facing illness, these zeros in our lives aren't just endings, they're portals to new beginnings. If we can face them with awareness, zero teaches balance too. In accounting, credits and debits must sum to zero in nature. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. These patterns suggest a deeper harmony underlying existence, one that includes both something and nothing, being and non-being, as we face the great mysteries, consciousness, death, the nature of reality. Zero offers a key insight. The answer may not be finding something, but recognizing nothing, not adding but subtracting, not knowing but unknowing. This brings us to the consciousness paradox we'll explore next. How can awareness, seemingly something, arise from the brain, seemingly nothing but atoms? The power of zero may hold clues to this fundamental mystery. The question of consciousness remains one of the deepest mysteries we face. What makes you, you? How does a collection of atoms and neurons create the rich inner experience of being alive and aware? Science tells us our brains process information through billions of neural connections, but this doesn't explain how these physical processes translate into a subjective experience. The feeling of seeing red, the taste of chocolate, the sensation of joy. This gap between objective brain activity and subjective experience is what philosophers call the hard problem of consciousness. Think about it, you can map every neuron firing in someone's brain while they look at a sunset, but that doesn't tell you anything about their lived experience. Of the beautiful colors and emotions, they feel the physical and the experiential seem to exist in two different domains. This leads us to a fascinating paradox. Consciousness appears to both exist and not exist simultaneously. We know with absolute certainty that we are conscious. It's the one thing we can't doubt, since doubting requires consciousness. Yet, when we try to study why nothing and everything are the same, it objectively or explain how it arises from physical matter, it seems to slip through our fingers. Some theorists propose that consciousness might be fundamental to the universe, like space-time and matter, rather than emerging from complex arrangements of unconscious particles. Perhaps consciousness is woven into reality at its most basic level. This could explain why it seems impossible to reduce consciousness to purely physical processes. Others suggest consciousness is an illusion, that our sense of being a unified, continuous self. is a story our brains tell us to make sense of all the parallel neural processing happening beneath the surface. But if consciousness is an illusion, who or what is being fooled by the illusion? The paradox deepens when we consider artificial intelligence as AI systems become more sophisticated. How will we determine if they develop genuine consciousness? They might perfectly simulate conscious behavior and claim to have inner experience. But could we ever know if they truly feel anything? This connects back to our discussion of zero. Just as zero bridges the abstract and concrete, consciousness seems to bridge the physical and mental realms. Both concepts challenge our usual ways of thinking about reality. The implications are profound if consciousness is fundamental rather than emergent. It suggests the universe itself might be conscious at some level. This doesn't mean rocks and atoms have human-like awareness, but rather that consciousness exists on a spectrum with different configurations of matter. Expressing different degrees and types of experience, this perspective could resolve the paradox. Consciousness neither purely exists nor doesn't exist, but manifests in various forms throughout nature, like zero. It might be both real and abstract, both present and absent, depending on how we look at it. Consider your own consciousness right now. You're processing these words, forming thoughts, perhaps, feeling emotions or physical sensations. Yet if you try to directly observe your consciousness to catch it in the act, it becomes elusive. The moment you try to examine it, you're already one step removed, creating an infinite regression of the observer. Trying to observe itself, this self-referential nature of consciousness creates another paradox. We can't step outside our consciousness to study it objectively. Since consciousness is the very thing doing the studying, it's like trying to see your own eyes without using a mirror, or trying to bite your own teeth. The mystery of consciousness forces us to question our basic assumptions about reality. We tend to think of the world as made up of objective, physical things that exist independently of observation. But quantum physics suggests observation itself plays a role in determining reality. Perhaps consciousness and physical reality are more deeply intertwined than we imagine. This brings us to questions about death and survival. If consciousness is fundamental rather than emergent, what happens to it when the brain dies? Does individual consciousness dissolve back into a universal field of awareness? Does it transform into other forms? Or does it continue in ways we can't yet comprehend? These questions might seem purely philosophical, but they have practical implications for how we live our lives and face death. Understanding the nature of consciousness could transform our approach to mental health, education, technology, and spiritual practice as we move forward. Keep in mind that the paradox of consciousness might not be a problem to solve, but rather a feature of reality to appreciate. Like zero, it might be pointing us toward deeper truths about the nature of existence itself. The creation matrix exists as the foundation of everything we experience. Think of it as the basic code that runs our reality. Much like computer code runs software, but infinitely more advanced. This structure holds together the physical world and connects it with consciousness in ways we're just starting to grasp. Let's break down what makes up this matrix at its core. We find pure energy, the raw material of existence. This energy doesn't just sit still. It moves, flows, and transforms based on precise mathematical principles. These principles create patterns that repeat throughout nature, from tiny atoms to massive galaxies. Scientists have discovered that empty space isn't really empty at all. It bubbles with quantum activity, where particles appear and disappear in an endless dance. This quantum foam, as they call it, forms the smallest building blocks of the creation matrix. It's where matter and energy merge, where time becomes flexible, and where consciousness might find its roots. The matrix operates through several key layers. The first layer deals with physical reality, the stuff we can see, touch, and measure. But beneath that lies the quantum layer, where normal rules don't apply. Things can exist in multiple states at once, and particles separated by vast distances can affect each other instantly. Going deeper, we find the information layer here. The matrix stores and processes data about everything that exists. Each particle, each wave of energy, each thought carries information that becomes part of this vast network. Some researchers suggest this might explain phenomena like synchronicity and intuition. We're all connected to this universal database. What makes the creation matrix truly fascinating is how it responds to consciousness. Our thoughts and intentions seem to influence how this energy, how to access infinite potential, behaves. This isn't just speculation. Experiments have shown that the mere act of observation can change how particles behave at the quantum level. The matrix uses sacred geometry-specific shapes and proportions that show up everywhere in nature. The spiral of a shell, the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower, the structure of galaxies, they all follow these patterns. These aren't random coincidences, but expressions of the underlying mathematical principles that guide creation. Time works differently within the matrix. Instead of flowing in one direction like an arrow, it might exist all at once, like a complete book where past, present, and future are all equally real. This could explain reports of precognition and déjà vu moments when people glimpse other points in this timescape. Energy flows through the matrix in specific ways, creating what ancient cultures called L-lines or dragon paths. These energy currents might influence everything from animal migration patterns to the locations where ancient civilizations built their sacred sites. Modern science is starting to detect and measure these energy fields using sensitive equipment. The creation matrix maintains balance through feedback loops when something goes too far. In one direction, counterforces automatically activate to restore equilibrium. This self-correcting mechanism keeps reality stable, while still allowing for growth and change. Colors play a special role in how the matrix expresses itself. Different frequencies of light carry different types of information and energy. This explains why colors can affect our moods and why certain combinations appear so often in nature. The matrix uses color as both a coding system and a way to transfer energy. Numbers hold particular significance within the matrix. Certain numbers and ratios appear repeatedly in nature and seem to guide how reality organizes itself. The Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio, and other mathematical patterns serve as instructions for growth and formation throughout the natural world. The matrix stores information holographically, meaning each part contains information about the whole. This explains how psychics might access information about distant places or times, and why ancient wisdom traditions teach that. We can find truth by looking within our DNA, interacts directly with the creation. Matrix recent research suggests DNA can send and receive information through quantum fields, connecting us to this vast network of consciousness and energy. This might explain phenomena like cellular memory and inherited trauma. Understanding the creation matrix changes how we see reality. We're not separate observers, but active participants in an interconnected system. Our thoughts, beliefs, and actions ripple through the matrix, affecting everything else in subtle but real ways. By learning about these patterns and principles, we can work more effectively with the natural flows of energy and information. This knowledge helps explain many mysteries about consciousness, reality, and human potential that have puzzled us for centuries. The creation matrix shows us that everything connects in meaningful ways. Nothing exists in isolation. Each thought, each action, each moment links to everything else through this incredible cosmic web of energy and information. The numbers keep showing up everywhere. At first, you might think it's random, seeing 1111 on your clock, license plate 333 passing by, or getting $444 change. But these patterns hold deeper meaning throughout history. People notice these number sequences appearing during major life events. Ancient cultures built their beliefs around sacred numbers. The Egyptians used them in pyramids, the Greeks in architecture, and Native Americans in their ceremonies. These number patterns act like signals from beyond our physical reality. They show up right before big changes or decisions in our lives. Think about the last time you saw repeating numbers. What happened next? Let me share. What these common patterns mean: seeing 111 or 1111 marks new beginnings and opportunities coming your way. It's telling you to pay attention to your thoughts since they're manifesting faster than usual. 222 brings balance and harmony, a sign you're on the right path. 333 means spiritual guides are near, supporting your growth. 444 represents stability, protection, while 555 signals major life changes ahead. But here's what most people miss. These numbers aren't just random messages. They follow precise mathematical patterns found throughout nature. The same sequence that creates a nautilus shell or arranges sunflower seeds appears in the spiritual numbers. This is called the Fibonacci sequence, and it connects the matrix of language and thought. Everything in existence, the pattern goes deeper. Each number carries a unique vibration or frequency. When you keep seeing certain numbers, you're tuning into those specific frequencies. It's like catching radio signals from the universe. These frequencies can affect your mood decisions and life direction. Your birth date contains your personal number pattern. By adding all the digits until you get a single number, you find your life path number. This number reveals your core purpose and natural talents. For example, if you were born on June 15th, 1990, add 6 plus 1 plus 5 plus 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 0 equals 31. Then 3 plus 1 equals 4. You're a life path. 4 meaning you're built for creating solid foundations and bringing order to chaos. The patterns show up strongest during major life transitions. They often appear when you're about to meet someone, significant change jobs, or face an important choice. Pay attention to what you're thinking about when you notice these numbers. The universe is trying to guide you. Some people dismiss these patterns as coincidence, but probability calculations show these sequences appear far more often than random chance would allow. Scientists studying consciousness have found these patterns might be how our reality communicates with itself. You can start working with these patterns consciously when you notice repeating numbers. Stop and check your thoughts and feelings. What were you just thinking about? What decisions are you facing? The numbers often confirm you're on track or warn you to reconsider. Write down the numbers you see and what's happening in your life at those times. After a few weeks, you'll start seeing clear connections. The patterns become a personal guidance system, helping you make better choices. Beyond personal guidance, these number patterns point to a deeper truth. Everything is connected through mathematical principles. The same patterns organizing galaxies and DNA sequences show up in your daily life as spiritual messages. This hidden pattern language bridges the physical and spiritual aspects of reality. It proves we're part of an intelligent universe that communicates with us constantly. We just need to learn how to read the signs. Start paying attention to the numbers around you. Notice which ones keep appearing. Look up their meanings, but trust your intuition too. Sometimes a number's significance for you might differ from traditional interpretations. The patterns are always there, waiting to be noticed. They're like trail markers on your life path, confirming you're headed in the right direction or suggesting course corrections. Once you understand their language, you'll never feel lost or alone. This ancient system of guidance through numbers has helped countless people navigate life's challenges. It's available to everyone, requiring no special tools or training. Just awareness and attention to the patterns already showing up in your life. The next time you see repeating numbers, pause and tune in. The universe is sending you a message using the universal language of mathematics to guide you toward your highest good. Building on our earlier discussion about patterns, how we often seek them out or form them ourselves, let's shift our focus to the words we use. Daily words are powerful tools. They shape our thoughts, influence our feelings, and impact those around us. Yet we often overlook the deeper significance they carry. Think about a simple greeting, like "How are you?" We toss it around as a casual way to say hello, but do we truly listen for the answer? The words imply concern and interest, but sometimes they become routine, losing the genuine care they originally conveyed. Consider the word failure. It's heavy with negative connotations. When someone says they failed, it often brings feelings of disappointment or defeat. But what if we looked at failure as a stepping stone? Each setback is a lesson, an opportunity to grow. By changing how we perceive the word, we alter its impact on us. Language shapes our reality. The words we choose can either limit us or set us free. For instance, saying "I can't do this" closes off possibilities. It sets a boundary that seems unbreakable. However, rephrasing it to "I haven't figured this out yet" opens up room for growth. It acknowledges the challenge, but leaves space for progress. Let's delve into the word try. When we say we'll try to do something, it often gives us an escape route. It's less committed than saying "I will do it." Try can subconsciously signal doubt. By being more definitive with our words, we strengthen our resolve. Metaphors and analogies enrich our language, allowing us to express complex ideas. Simply saying, Someone has a heart of gold immediately conveys kindness and value. These expressions tap into shared understandings, making communication more effective. However, words can also carry. Are you seeing reality or a programmed illusion? Hidden biases, phrases we've heard all our lives might have origins or implications we aren't aware of. It's important to reflect on the language we use to ensure it aligns with our values and doesn't unintentionally harm others. The names we assign to things and people also hold power. Names can influence perception. For example, labeling a group as outsiders creates a division. Fostering in US versus the mentality. Choosing inclusive language promotes unity and understanding. Emotions are deeply connected to words. Think about affirmations. Positive statements we repeat to ourselves, saying, I am capable and strong, can boost confidence and encourage a positive mindset. The words we feed ourselves internally are just as crucial as those we speak aloud in negotiations or conflicts. Wording can determine outcomes. Using I feel statements instead of accusatory language helps express personal perspectives without placing blame. This approach fosters open dialogue and resolution. Cultural phrases and idioms add color to our conversations, but can be confusing across different backgrounds. Being mindful of our audience ensures our message is clear and respectful when communicating across cultures. Choosing words carefully bridges gaps and builds relationships. Silence between words is significant as well. Pauses allow for reflection and give weight to what has been said in music. Rests are as important as notes. They create rhythm and emphasis. Similarly, thoughtful pauses in speech enhance our communication. Technology has changed how we use words. Texting and social media encourage brevity, leading to abbreviations and emojis. While convenient, this can sometimes dilute the richness of language balancing. Efficiency with expressive depth keeps our interactions meaningful. Listening is a key part of language. Truly hearing what others say, beyond just the words, involves attention to tone and body language. Active listening fosters empathy and strengthens connections. The words we choose can inspire, heal, and motivate. Famous speeches throughout history demonstrate how powerful language can unite people toward a common goal. Inspirational quotes often become mantras that guide us through challenges. On the flip side, words can wound. Negative remarks or harsh criticism can leave lasting scars. Being aware of the impact our words have on others encourages us to communicate with kindness and consideration. Self-talk. The dialogue we have within ourselves shapes our self-image. Encouraging and supportive inner words build confidence, while negative self-talk can hinder our potential. Cultivating a positive internal dialogue is essential for personal growth in storytelling. Words create worlds. Authors paint vivid images and evoke emotions purely through language. This highlights the immense creative power words hold as we navigate our daily lives. Being mindful of our language enriches our experiences by choosing words that reflect positivity, inclusivity, and authenticity. We contribute to a more understanding and connected world. Moving forward, let's pay closer attention to the words we use. Let's explore how subtle shifts in our language can transform our perceptions and interactions. Understanding the hidden meanings and implications helps us communicate more effectively and passionately. Our next discussion will delve into concepts that seem opposite, but share common ground. Will uncover how embracing these paradoxes can lead to deeper insights and personal development, building on our previous exploration of how words carry deeper meanings and shape our perceptions. Let's consider a fascinating idea. Sometimes things we label as opposites aren't truly opposing forces. Instead, they're different aspects of the same essence. Imagine light and darkness. At first glance, they seem entirely different. However, darkness isn't an entity on its own. It's simply the absence of light. When the sun sets, darkness doesn't emerge from somewhere else, it appears. Because light diminishes, this realization shows that light and darkness are connected, not opposing forces. Battling each other, consider hot and cold temperatures. We often think of them as opposites, yet cold isn't something that exists independently. It's merely a state with less heat. Temperature is a continuous spectrum, and hot and cold are points. Along that line, understanding this helps us see that what we perceive as opposites are often interconnected parts of a whole. Emotions provide another example. Take love and hate. They seem Like they couldn't be more different, but both are intense feelings that arise from deep connections.